What up, LPG? It's Life Partner Gang here. I'm James.
I'm Tina.
And we're back for another episode here today. We're here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of all things Life Partner-esque. Get up off my drink, man.
That nasty looking stuff.
We're here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of all things Life Partner-esque. We're here to talk about our journey, the journeys that you guys may face and what you go through as life partners and married couples. We're millennials, we're married, we're all of those things. So today we got another topic for you. Thank y'all for checking in. As always, we want you to do what, babe?
Subscribe so that you get all the notifications whenever we drop something new, whether that's on your podcast channel of choice or if you're watching us on YouTube. So pause, subscribe, and then come on back.
Yes, appreciate that love, y'all. So on today's episode, we wanted to talk about a special topic. And I think there's a lot of people who likely either have this topic, have these arguments, or, don't see eye to eye, and it ends up causing a breakup or something like that in their relationship. But we want to talk about in-laws. And, in-laws is a funny thing because when you marry somebody, a lot of times people just think you're marrying the person that you decide to be in a relationship with. But
nope.
That is indeed not true at all. You are marrying them plus, their cousin Ray, their mama, their daddy, their grandma, their grandfather, whoever's a part of their lineage, you are also marrying to everybody. So for us, we have, Tina has a huge family. And I have.
Huge is an understatement.
Yeah, she has like probably the biggest family I've ever seen from anybody. And then I have like a small family unit. So like hers dwarfs my family. So the in-laws thing was funny for us too. But my question to you, sweetheart, is do you think that a person shouldn't marry someone if they don't like that person's family?
I don't know. I love your family. So I don't even know how to answer that. Like, it's a tough decision to make, and it's absolutely something to consider. Not saying that, it should be the end all be all if you don't get along with your partner or your boyfriend or your fiance's family, but it is whatever issues that you are likely having before you go down the aisle, there isn't a guarantee that it's going to get better just because y'all become one. So that's just something to consider. Like if you have issues with the mom or the dad, or it's just it's something to know. And it's something you have to be prepared to deal with for the rest of your life if it's not a relationship that's flowing smoothly going into the marriage. And it's hard because even outside of you, like before we dated, my previous boyfriends, I gelled well with their family. I'm a likable person.
Oh, stop.
I am a very likable person.
Stop it.
So, I don't know.
First of all, you ain't gonna be smelling yourself on this here podcast.
Your mom loves me. Your dad loves me.
You ain't all that.
I don't know.
You all right, son. Anyways, I think I do think I'll flip that. So you've had a good relationship with my family. And I would say too, like my parents are like, they don't get involved in stuff.
Yeah, no, they're very good at minding their business.
You know what I mean? Like they mind their business. Even when they have an opinion on stuff, and that's not to say that they don't have opinions and they don't gossip about things too. But typically that stuff,
they're not overbearing and pushy.
Yeah,
about
it don't come back to
things.
us. It doesn't get in the middle of things, and I would say if they are judgmental about something, 9 times out of 10, we don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's because everybody's going to have an opinion, whether they voice it or not is different. But when people start to voice their opinions and their opinions come off as judgmental, then I think that's when it creates a wedge between folks. And I think the hardest thing with any of it is if one person's family is being like just over the top and overstepping their boundaries, if the person whose family that isn't willing to come in to check them, then that's when like, all right, all bets are off. Like maybe I should think twice about marrying you, being with you, doing whatever with you, because I realize that I'm going to not only have to deal with everything that comes with being with you, but your family over here is being wild and crazy too, and you're doing nothing about it.
Right. Yeah.
And I could see how that could become an issue for folks. And I think it's just something worth talking about, because sometimes I get it, right? Like if you're in a situation and like some people don't challenge their parents and they don't feel like, they can tell somebody in their family that's older than them like they're wrong or to get out of my business or whatever. I don't feel that way.
I don't either. I feel if you at the end, I love my parents, I love my grandparents, but at the end of the day, I'm an adult, so you got to let our business be our business.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing is if you truly make a decision to let, your business be your business, then you can keep people from getting into that. But it's those situations where people looking for somebody to confide in, or they like, at the dinner table and they just kind of spilling it all. And then I think the thing that people don't realize is the people who are close to you get emotional about what you go through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if if we're going through something and you're telling whoever about it, inherently, if those are your people, they're gonna like
feel a way toward you.
They're gonna feel a way towards me. And no matter what you end up deciding to do, they're still gonna feel that way.
Yeah.
And then it creates this weird wedge that like, all right, well, like you decided to get back with him, but he did blah, 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 blah to you and all of that.
Especially, and that's the thing about gossip in general, whether, it's your romantic relationship or with friendships. When you're going through something with somebody and then you go vent to a friend or a family member, when you and that person make up, you got to go clean up the mess with whoever you vented about them to, or they still going to be looking at said person real funny.
Right.
So it's like, it's easier to just shut up or talk to your therapist, because most people don't do that. They don't go back and clean up all the people that, they was talking crap with while they were mad.
Yes. And then you got to consider too, like the old saying, there's always three sides to a story, his side, her side, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And you got to think about when somebody tells their version of a story, they're always, as me and my partners used to always say, they Fox 5 it a little bit. Like you add a little bit of sauce onto the story because you want to make it that much more believable in your favor.
Yeah.
When you add that sauce on top of it, though, then it's like now you riling the people up. So your audience is like, man, hell nah, F that in, blah, 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 blah. Like you should never go back to him. He ain't nothing. He a piece of shit, all of that. And then 2 weeks later, you back with the piece of shit. And your friends is like, hold up. You just said that whatever. Or your mom is like, you just said that he did whatever. What you doing back over there? And now everybody at dinner and you walk in and they looking at y'all crazy. So I think your point is valid. Like it's best to kind of keep people out of that when you're going through stuff. They're gonna have an opinion, but ultimately like what matters is what is important to you. You're the one that's got to be in it. You got to live with it. And if you can live with it, then
so be it.
They got to respect that decision. But when it comes to the in-laws thing, and I was just seeing this, right, where I think we've been fortunate to where, our family stays out of our business. Well, and I think part of it too is maybe they wouldn't if it was solely up to you.
What you mean?
I mean that you got a big mouth. and I think I'm more laid back when it comes to like just involving everybody in every single thing.
But I don't involve everybody in every single thing.
Not anymore. When we was dating, you did though.
Well, okay.
And think about all the heartburn that created at that time, where it was like Fox 5 and stories trying to paint me out to be whatever. So I'm doing what I'm doing, and then you saucing it up, and then everybody looking at me crazy. And I'm like, half the time, don't even know why they looking crazy. But then come to find out, it's like, oh, yeah, Tina did. She said that.
Oh, you done had your parents looking at me crazy, too.
But I don't be Fox 5ing like you, though. Like, you just flat out, like, just
y'all
made,
see him
made
Fox
stuff
5
up.
And every week on this podcast, and y'all gonna believe that? All right.
Ain't no Fox 5. Ain't no cap over here, like the kids say. It's been all facts. But
it's giving me cap.
But you want to have an audience to tell everybody.
Okay.
Just think about personalities.
Okay.
Who wants to be the social butterfly?
I am a social butterfly.
I want to be so transparent.
But
I want to tell everybody everything. That's you.
Go ahead.
And me, I'm just chilling. Something go on. If I got a problem with you, I'm taking that up with you. I ain't taking it up with the whole
now
world.
we take it up with each other, but we're not gonna act like you haven't told your parents stuff about your frustrations with me, and they haven't felt a way about me over the years, because they have.
You just said my parents always loved you.
Your parents do love me, but you.
Now you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
I'm not.
So which one is it?
When we were dating, we both had situations where both our families was like.
Even in everything I went through with you, though, there are conversations I've had with my dad where he was like, yo, I'm not taking your side because you're my son. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Okay, well, that's shout out to your parents for being able to be objective.
Right. On the flip side of it, there's never been any objectivity. It's always been whatever Tina says is the story. I'm rolling with Tina.
No, my mom
your mother
is level-headed.
Your mother, yes.
My daddy?
Your daddy, no.
He was ready to take your head off.
Your daddy, no.
But you would be the same way about Zoe, so I don't even want to hear it. Yes, you would.
Again, because I understand. Men lie, women lie. Whatever's in the middle didn't lie.
That is your little girl, and she's gonna be your little girl until the day she leaves this earth. You would feel the same way.
Nah.
Anyways, what's our point?
The point being that when you bring other people into it, it makes it crazy. So if you think about our situation where you have a huge family, I have a small family. Mm-hmm. We decided to get married, and then like we still go places. When we go to Virginia, there's still people I meet that I don't even know are related to you. Like, there are people that I've met sometimes, probably before, like, they'll roll up on me and I'll be like, I ain't never seen you before in my life. Like, that's how hard it is to understand who all is in your family. And then we've had people from your family live with us too. So I've experienced every gamut of everything with your family, the good, the bad, and the
I'm gonna let you go. Watch
your mouth. The crazy.
Watch your mouth. I thought you was gonna say the ugly. Watch your mouth.
The crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I would think certain people who have been in this situation would have been like, man, hell nah, I'm out. If you just go back and rewind all that's been experienced in terms of some folks who are related to you, would you agree or disagree with that statement?
I don't think, well, if you're referring to my grandmother staying with us, that wasn't like leave the relationship worthy, because she stressed me out too, which is ultimately why she had to leave.
But that was the double whammy of stress, because at first she was just stressing you out and I was like just kind of playing the background. And then she started with me. So now I got to deal with you being in a bad mood every day because of you and your grandmother's stuff. And then she's starting with me. So I got to deal with her too. It was a double whammy. Like, some people would have been like, all right, like, both of y'all got to get out because this is too much.
You better kick me out of my own. What?
Because it was too much.
Make it make sense.
It was too much.
It was a lot, which is ultimately why my grandmother and what did she stay with us for, like 6 months, 7 months?
I don't even remember.
Had Zoe?
That was like
I don't even remember. It was a lot though. Oh my gosh.
That was the wildest, probably 6 or 7 months of my life.
Through that experience, we've learned that nobody else can come live with us.
Yeah. And I don't even like being like that.
It's like, I don't know. I guess if you know, a parent or something were to fall ill and that was something we would have to evaluate at that time, that would be different. But just like somebody need to come stay with us, get back on their feet kind of situation, nope. I won't be able to do it. Because it brought so much crazy energy into our home. And it was like we were arguing, not even because of anything that we did to each other, but just because I was so freaking frustrated with like just dealing with my grandmother and her situation, and her at the time she had like a declining mental capacity that we were not aware of. So it was just coming off like she was doing crazy stuff all of the time, and none of it made sense, and it was very stressful.
And it was just too soon for that, because if you think about the timing of it, so
we just got married.
We just got married. We had just had Zoe. So, I mean, we had been together for a minute, but we're still newlyweds at this time. And then we have our second kid, and then she comes, and like when you have an elderly person come and stay with you, especially like what she was dealing with, that was like having another kid
Yeah.
in the house.
It absolutely was.
You know what I mean? Like I can remember, what was that, Vegas we went to? And she went to stay with my parents. Like when I tell you Dad was blowing me up, yo, and I couldn't enjoy it. That was my 30th birthday. I couldn't enjoy being in Vegas at all because I'm just thinking about like, yo, what is she gonna do at their house that we're gonna end up having to deal with or pay for or something crazy? And then
and lo and behold, she did cook up some mess while she was there.
She did. And I can remember we was in like the mall, like the fashion mall in Vegas, and Dad called me. He's telling me like, she said something like we was hiding her food or something. I was like, Dad, what are you talking about? Like, why would we not feed this lady? Why would I hide her food? So it was just that type of stuff where I don't like being like this, like on some, like if somebody needs help, like, you know, not extending our home to them. But
you have to be I don't know. I love my family, and, you know, I love, you know, doing holidays and spending time and stuff. But to have somebody live with you on an ongoing basis is a very different thing. And you have to be willing to take them and all of their issues and all of their energy. And I like the energy in our house the way that it is.
So then let me ask you this then. So, I mean, in that situation, she ended up leaving. So it wasn't even like we had to like put her out or like send her back. She left. Well,
the plan was for, you know, we had agreed on a date when she was going to go back to Virginia. But I'll keep it a buck with y'all in the spirit of transparency. She was so pissed with us that we wanted her to leave that she literally left. What was it, like 5:30 in the morning?
Yeah, so go back even before that. The plan was when she came down there was we was actually going to help her get an apartment and she would kind of be situated and that's where she would be permanently.
But she didn't want to move out. She wanted to stay with us forever.
Came in, didn't want to move out. She wanted to stay with us.
Because we had a big enough house. She didn't understand why she needed to move.
Then she started counting our money.
Yeah.
And started telling people we was in the mansion and we had this and we had that and all this other. So she calling back to your other. I don't even know who she was on the phone with.
Her brother.
So she's calling back home to your family, telling them that we rich, we got it. The Jeffersons done moved on up down here. Everybody need to come down, get some of this money what they got. So she's doing all of that. She doesn't want to.
She Fox 5'd it.
Yeah. So she doesn't want to move out. And then the whole notion of like, all right, you and I are at our wits' end now, because now, like, I'm tired of you and her getting into it, and then now I'm getting into it with her, and we like, yo, like, all right, like at some point she just got to go back. Like this just isn't working out.
She started telling. Well, it got, because it was one thing to kind of count our money and, you know, tell people we're living this lavish life or whatever it was, but then she started like telling people that we were like taking her money. And all kinds of crazy stuff, which again, she's at a declining mental capacity. So she was doing things with her money that involved some of my cousins, but I guess it was escaping her. So we were the closest thing to blame.
And we didn't take a dime from her, literally, like not a dime.
Not for anything.
We didn't take money for her staying with us. We didn't take anything from her. It was just the story that she was telling.
Yeah.
And you just made me, it's all coming back to me. Remember our next door neighbors hated us. Remember she went over there? Yeah,
because she went over there and like gave them like this battered grandmother situation. Our next door neighbor was a pastor.
Right.
And they were older. So they were like your parents' age maybe?
Yeah, probably older than my parents.
So she got them people over there thinking that we mistreating her and doing all kinds of stuff to her. So even after she left, them people never talked to us.
Never. And this is a older black family that lives directly next door to us.
They never talked to us after she left.
Would not talk to us based on whatever it was that she told them. And like for me, I was like, man, whatever. Y'all don't want to talk to us, then fine. But it was just all of that. And then with the whole, all right, you're going to go back. We're going to send you back to Virginia. You know what I mean? I'll never forget it. You were at work.
No, my grandmother came to stay with us to help us with Zoe so we didn't have to put her in daycare.
Right.
So I had a crazy work schedule at the time. I was still a claim adjuster. I had to leave at like 5:36 in the morning to get to work on time. Typically, when I would leave for work, I would take Zoe upstairs to her to get her situated with my grandma because Zoe was just such a clingy baby at that time, but she adored my grandma. and James would like get up shortly after me and go to work himself. But I would do it while I would take Zoe to her because she would kind of still be in the bed in her PJs and stuff like that. So James wouldn't have to go up there if she was inappropriately dressed in any kind of way.
Right.
So that particular morning, I think you didn't have an early morning that day, so you told me to just leave Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe stayed in the bed with me.
So I got up, I went to work. When he finally did get up to go to work later that morning, the front door was wide the F open. Yes. And she was gone. So she left like after she caught a cab to the airport after she heard me leave. She didn't say anything. She didn't wake anybody else up. Nothing. She didn't even close
she didn't close the door because we had the alarm on the door,
yeah.
And she didn't want it to go off. So she opened it and just left it open so she could bounce out. And when I finally got up and I was getting situated or whatever, Zoe was still asleep in the bed. I went to walk to the kitchen and saw the front door was open. So my immediate thing was like, yo, why is the front door open? And I know you don't go out the front door because you go out the garage where your car was parked. So now I'm looking around like, yo, is somebody in the house? Like, I go close the front door, lock it. I go back and grab Zoe, walking around the house, making sure everything is good. And then I go upstairs to her room and all her stuff is gone. Like, everything is gone. Her suitcase is gone. Her clothes is gone. The whole nine. The only thing that's left is like her little like groceries that she used to hide in her room that was in the closet.
That was a whole nother thing. That was a whole nother thing.
She used to hide
food in her closet. It's a whole nother thing.
So then now I'm like, yo, so then I go back downstairs and I look at the floor. Remember we had the foyer and we had this hardwood floor as soon as you walked in. And I noticed that the floors is really scratched up. And I guess that's from where she like lugged her stuff out in her suitcase or whatever. So now I'm calling you like, yo, where's your grandmother at? Like, I'm walking out down the street trying to see if she maybe like is walking somewhere and she's gone. There's no sight of her. I tried to go to the neighbor's house, the people who didn't like us, to go knock on their door. They wouldn't answer the door to talk to me. I don't even think she took a cab. I think one of them took her to the airport because they wouldn't even answer the door to come and talk to me. So I ended up getting on the phone with you and we trying to get in touch with her. We can't get in touch with her.
She would not answer the phone. I didn't talk to after my grandmother left the way that she did. I didn't talk to her for months.
Yeah.
Months. And I don't know. I don't even know how crazy we sound right now. But when I say, every child has that favorite grandparent that they just absolutely adore. It's their favorite person in the world. This grandmother is that grandmother for me.
She raised you.
She is my favorite human in the world. And even after all of the crazy, you still look at me out the side of your neck, but I still love her to death because she was going through something that she couldn't and still can't explain. So she is still my favorite, one of my favorite humans in the whole wide world. I love her to death. If something would have happened to her, like, I would be broken. Like, but bruh.
Man,
when he called me and told me that she had left, I was so frustrated with the point that our situation had got to that I literally started laughing hysterically on the phone at work, like in front of everybody, uncontrollable laughter. Like, that's how I was relieved. I didn't have nobody to keep my baby. But I was relieved.
Yeah, we didn't have a sitter or nothing. Because matter of fact, I remember this is back when I was at Penny. So I had to hit my boss up that day because I'm supposed to be at work. And I was like, yo, I can't come to work. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, and she knew that your grandmother was there. And I think I had told her at one point, like, it was a little crazy at the crib. We were trying to, work through some stuff with her. And she was telling me, like, she had to deal with the same thing with her spouse at one time or whatever. So I was like, yeah, my wife's grandmother, she just bounced. And I don't know where she is. And she was the one that was going to have the baby. So I got to stay home with my baby. And she was like, all right, don't worry about it. Just, whenever you can get back to work, you can get back to work. Like, don't feel stressed about it. But I was tight.
He was pissed. I was so, I don't know. It was one of those, I'm one of those people that sometimes I have like the opposite reaction of what I'm supposed to have when I get stressed. Because there's been times that we've been arguing and I've kind of like busted out laughing in a moment. I don't know what that's called, but it happens. So
special ed. That's what they call that, special ed.
I just remember laughing really, really hard and then being relieved. And then, you know, of course, later the stress kicked in because then I realized we have to find childcare again, like within a short amount of time. It was in the middle of the work week. But like, you know, those close to us know what went down. And I wouldn't take anything from my grandmother. I wouldn't hurt or harm a piece of hair on her head. So like it was wild. Yes. But all that to say, if you ever thought to ask us to come stay with us, nah.
Yeah,
I ain't doing it.
I ain't gonna be able to do it, man. But so then with that, right? Because I think in that situation, like if I'd have been like, yo, we came to it together on some like, all right,
but if it was
time for her
you
to
versus
go.
me.
But if it was a situation where, because you really do love and adore your grandmother, and like I did not share that same adoration for her at all. Like she was on my last motherfucking nerve. And for me, like your home is supposed to be your place of peace.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that anymore. And the peace was gone for me because y'all was always fighting. And then when it became a thing between her and I too, it was like, all right, man, like it's double time. Like she needs to go. If I would have said, all right, your grandmother has to go, otherwise, like, I'm not going to stay here. And if you would have been like, nah, my grandmother needs to be, and some people do make that decision, that would have been the end of us.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I couldn't have worked through that situation if you wasn't going to prioritize us over family. And family is super important. But like when we decided to get married, like that's our union. So it's like we became one. So it's literally us, even them kids, everything is after us. And granted, like I'm not the type of person who will put you in a situation like getting married to you and feeling like, all right, well, I don't like your family, so you can never talk to them, never see them, even to this day.
Because even when we go back to Virginia, me and the kids will go see my grandma. He won't, but me and the kids will go.
And it's not. I will never tell you cannot have a relationship that you can't see her. That's your folks. I know me though, because I like. The first time we saw her, I think it was the first time. Maybe it was the first time you saw her too.
We all saw her,
is when we went back for the funeral.
Yeah.
And you were inside the church, and the baby, Zoe's a baby at the time, she had pooped. Mm-hmm. And I had to run out like from inside the church in the middle of the pastor's sermon to go change her. Yeah. And your grandmother saw me and walked out there, followed me outside, waited for me outside the bathroom, and wanted to have a conversation with me and talk to Zoe and all of that. And like when we at the church, she an old lady. I'm not gonna disrespect her. I respect your dad, so I'm not gonna disrespect his mother. But like I didn't say a word to her. I let her interact with Zoe, do her thing, say, hey baby, blah, 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 blah. I ain't say nothing to her. I had no words for her. And that's just been my philosophy since then, because she walked out like a thief in the middle of the night and left the front. Somebody could have came in and killed me. She left the front door open. At least close the door if you're going to run out.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's wild.
Yeah, it's definitely wild that whole situation and how it went down.
Out the way
and
it did.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that, you know, we were mature enough to get through it together. And to not allow that to create a wedge between us.
I am too. And it's so mind-boggling. Oh my God.
Yeah, but it definitely shaped, I would say, the perspective on, and we you know, again, we both have big hearts. So like we'll help people, and we'll tell people like straight up, like, yo, we'll help you. We'll make sure you straight, whatever. You just can't come stay with us.
And honestly, and I guess we could probably go deeper into this on a different episode, because I think it should be talked about. Like the only family that I would even consider staying with again, if it was like a temporary situation, is your parents. because we've lived with your parents on 2 different occasions and it was fine.
Yeah.
But that's because we know it works.
We know it works. We know what to do to make sure, because even with them too, like, you know, with my parents, you know, they're very particular about how they want things.
In
and
their house.
When we were building our house, you know, we stayed with them until it was done. They came and stayed with us when our house was done until their house was done. And then when they moved to Japan, they came and stayed with us after they sold their house. So we all know like what everybody's particular about. Like my dad, you know, he's super particular about certain things. My mom is the same way. I want to do certain things. Like, you know, everybody is way more sociable to me whether I'm at my house or their house. Like sometimes I don't want to talk, even to my parents. Like all of those things, we figured that out, and we've always stayed with each other, knowing that there was an end in sight.
Yeah. So like we knew at some the houses are going to be finished or the move is going to happen. So, but everybody figured out a way to respect each other's space. Granted, your mom has probably walked in to bring towels while I didn't have any clothes on. I had just got it out of the shower like more times than she probably cared to see. But
yeah, mom was definitely, I think
she don't knock.
She just, especially when you at her house.
She don't knock.
She even at our house though, like she'll still walk in the room and be like, she'll be halfway in the room. James, you got on clothes? Like, all right, mom, you all the way in my room talking about you got on clothes. But yeah. But it's like we know the vibes between us.
So I could do that again, you know, if it was something that, you know, something happened or we were building another house and needed to wait. I could live with your parents again just because I know how that dynamic would work.
Right. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do too. I think there's like, I would say on your side, your mom is low key.
She is.
So I don't even like, and you know, every time she's around, we always got good vibes. So like, I don't think your mom would be an issue. I don't think it's not your mom, your dad, or even bonus mom. It's like the other
everybody else,
all the other folks that I don't really know, because I ain't know a lot about your grandmother going into that situation. So you know what I mean? They'd be like, all right, man, like, nah. Your sisters are pretty chill too, so like I wouldn't have a real issue with them unless they was like boy crazy and doing wild stuff or something like that. Because then the brother in me is gonna be like, nah, we ain't doing that in this house. So yeah, sisters wouldn't work out either. I love y'all, but nah, y'all can't, because y'all ain't bringing no little ninjas to the crib. But I'm just happy that, you know, it didn't get to that place, because I've seen people be like, well, you know, my mom or my dad or my grandmother's coming to live with us, and like, you got to deal with it. And I just don't think that you should put your spouse in that situation where they got to like just not have a choice or a voice in that manner. Because I think it needs to be both people need to agree to it if you're going to do it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a burden on your partner for one of your family members to come stay with them. I don't know. I like my peace. So.
Yeah. And I think too, like, you got to be smart about these things. Like, if you know you and your mom or you and your dad have a shitty relationship, why would you want them to come and live with you with your spouse? Like, and sometimes there are no other circumstances and you want to try to help somebody out because they don't have anywhere else to go. Fine in that situation, but have an end in sight.
Yeah.
But like, if you know you got a poor relationship, like if there's somebody that I just can't stand, I'm not moving them into our house, because like, what is the point of that? Me and that person don't vibe on a regular. We're going to be at it. And then now you in the mix of it, it's going to affect me and you. I just think it's too much. And I think people need to be more mindful of that versus just like always trying to pull somebody into their crib, because there's consequences to all of that.
Okay. I have a question for you. You usually have the questions for me, but I have a question. You are very, to yourself, nonchalant. You know, you don't really like people. So you don't.
I like you.
You love me. Anyway, how do you deal or, you know, handle, I guess, how overwhelming it can be when we go back home and we have to visit all 5,000 of my family members? Watch yourself.
Self-medicate. I think I just have to. This is the thing about being an introvert. Like certain introverts get a lot of anxiety about situations like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not that type. Like I can deal with it. I know how to put on, a face and whatever. But like that's a perfect example is like one of your cousins. I actually like him a lot. I can't think of his name right now. The male cousin that he usually comes to your mom's house, and we usually catch him for like a couple of hours or something like that. He has
the little boy.
The little boy.
Harry.
Yeah, Harry. What up, Harry? So Harry will always catch me, and your mom will always catch me like at the tail end of going through all of the big ass family. It's like every time we go to Virginia, it's a family reunion for you because we got to go see every auntie, uncle, grandparent, whatever in sight. So I just have to, just tell myself like, all right, like we here for a couple of days. We don't get to see people often. This is important to you. So it's got to be important to me too. And like go through it, get through the days. Like, it ain't that bad.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it gets to a place where it's like, all right, I ain't with it, then I know that I can just go across the water and go stay at my grandmother's house until you're done doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because his grandmother and then when his parents come back, they will be in Virginia too.
Right.
But when we say his family versus our family, it's like your mom, her sibling. How many siblings does your mom have? 4, 5?
5, 4 or 5.
And then your dad.
His 5.
But none of them really live in the same state.
No, we scattered.
So you see them sparingly. You have your one grandmother. That's your only grandparent, right?
Yep.
And then your cousins that you do have, they all live out of state. So you see them on like very special occasions.
See them like once every 5 years.
If that. My entire family is in Virginia.
Right.
The whole thing. So my mom's family, my dad's family, and my bonus mom's family. So I have like 5,000 grandmothers.
Yes.
I have a billion cousins. Like my entire family is in Virginia. So when we go home, we spend a day with his grandma, and then we spend the rest of the time trying to see everybody else that I'm related to. So it can be really, really, really crazy.
Yeah, it'd be all over the place. So
even truly not like cousins and everybody excluded, it can be crazy just trying to see my parents and my sisters. Because I have my mom, my dad, my bonus mom, and then I have 7 sisters. And then because life is so short and tomorrow's never promised, I never want to go home and then not visit my grandparents. Like my great grandmother is still alive. Like my family is huge.
Right. And on the flip side, like I've never known a great grandparent. You know what I mean? Like I got the one grandmother that's still alive. So your family definitely dwarfs mine in size. And I think the biggest thing is, again, just going back to like knowing that we're not going to be there for a very long time, and like this is your time with them. It does get. The one time I felt like I was overwhelmed, it was like a barbecue or something.
Oh.
And it was but I was overwhelmed because I had just gotten laid off from the tech company, and we were about to move. So we had already talked about moving. The move is in place, and then I'm at your family barbecue, and everybody's like, "Yo, so when y'all moving?" Or like, blah blah blah. This
we
and
hadn't
I'm like,
made it public yet.
Yeah. So, but I didn't even want to talk about it. Yeah. Like it was a fresh wound. Like I'm going through it. And like, so in that moment, I did feel overwhelmed, but I didn't say anything because it was like we here, like, let's get through it. And there was enough going on. You was pregnant at the time.
I was pregnant. My grandmother had passed. That's why we were even there, because we had went for my grandmother's funeral.
Right.
And then while we were there, we ended up at my grandfather's retirement barbecue. So it was just a crazy, and they're not the grandmother and grandfather that were together. So, because I know that sounds crazy. He had his retirement barbecued after her funeral. So it was 2 different sides of the family, but I had to try to make the most of the time while we were there. So it was a lot going on.
Yeah. So it was that. And then it's like, bless their hearts. Like then people trying to give me career advice, like, yo, why don't you go do this? Or why don't you go do that? And it's just, it was at a place where I really just wanted to be by myself
Yeah.
and process my thoughts. But I knew that, I needed to be there for you because you were going through a lot with your grandmother passing away. So I've gotten used to it, over the years. I do think, I wish when we did go that it wouldn't be as rushed. Because I think that's part of the part that's overwhelming about it is it's always rushed.
Well, now that your parents are going to be there too, I think that we can just start taking like longer trips home so that we could kind of pace ourselves.
Yeah.
You look so happy.
All right.
You look so happy.
All right. We got to talk about that one.
Oh, see? It's not me.
I ain't say I was signing up to be in Virginia for a month.
Not a month, but maybe like, a week or two, because I think the last couple of times we've gone, we haven't stayed longer than like 5 days. If that.
5 days is enough. But anyways, I think, with all of that, I think it's good that we've been able to figure out how to coexist with very different size families, different style families, and you just haven't really been exposed to a lot of the crazy on my side. And I think it's because my family's so scattered. Oh.
Not that I would be surprised. My family is just loud and crazy, and that's just how it go.
So is mine too. But if one person's in Ohio, another person is in Mississippi, another person is here, you're probably never going to see them all in one room at one time. Like, my family isn't the type of family that's going to have a family reunion. Like, that's just not going to happen. So you won't ever be exposed to all of the crazy in one moment. Whereas with your family,
it's every time we go visit.
It's every time because everybody is there.
Everybody's there.
And it's like, and one side. So if it's like you go to like, your mom's side, it's a gang of people. You go to your dad's side, it's a gang of people. You go to your bonus mom's side, it's a gang of people.
Yeah, nobody has a small side of the family. It's just a big family.
And that's why I can't remember nobody's name. Because it's like, I remember your face, but I just don't remember your name because there's so many of y'all. Like, they got to wear name tags. Like, I feel like I've been with you forever now, and I still don't remember everybody's names. I don't know if that's... Like,
only women might get this reference, but if you've ever watched The Devil Wears Prada, when they go to dinner with Miranda and she doesn't know any of like the people's name coming to meet her, so her assistants are just like standing next to her whispering the people's names as they approach her to tell her so she can greet them by their name. That's how it is with him. He'd be like, "Who's that?"
Yeah, I've been needing a refresher. Shout out to you. I love y'all though. So I think this was a good topic. Would love to hear everybody's thoughts about in-laws. I'm sure everybody has, a crazy story. We have, luckily, just that one story.
It's crazy enough that we don't need no more.
Yeah. We don't need no more because we need to tell y'all everything. But we would love to hear you guys' thoughts on how do you feel about in-laws? Like, would you marry somebody whose family you just can't stand? Is that like a deal breaker for you? Would you put your spouse in a situation that says like, hey, like my parent is, up here in age and I want them to come stay, and will you make that decision on your own, or is that something that should be talked about together? So
yes, absolutely.
Get in the comments. Let us know what you think. We would love to have that dialogue with you. If you got crazy family like my wife here, it's all good. We all do. But how you navigate your family with your spouse is what's ultimately important.
Yeah, it is. So let us know what side you're on in the comments, and then of course make sure you like and subscribe whenever, so that you get notified whenever we drop something new. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching or tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. We the Life Partner Gang. Love everything about you guys tuning in with us. I'm James.
I'm Tina.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.